the importance of food safety, because we can talk ad infinitum about exporting, about doing, about packaging, but if we don't understand the importance of food safety, we will remain just talking. Alison Richards, our next presenter, is a food safety communicator and the founder of the Food Safety Girl, a consumer awareness platform dedicated to promoting food safety in Jamaica. Are you hearing me okay?
Yep.
She's also the host of the Big Bite Food Safety Show, a radio program that educates listeners on food safety issues. With over 14 years of experience in food safety regulation, Alison is passionate about empowering consumers and industry stakeholders to make informed choices that protect both health and the environment. Plus, we have the good fortune of having Alison write weekly columns in the Jamaica Observer Thursday food section. Without further ado, Alison Richards, the importance of food safety.
When Novia reached out with the invitation, I thought it would have been such an excellent opportunity to talk about something that I think a lot of Jamaicans, based on my experience in regulatory work, don't tend to pay attention to, but it's pretty important. So I think Dan did a lovely job of underscoring the importance of exporting food, maintaining that brand Jamaica as it relates to food. And I think that's something that is so important to also mention, is that even though we are looking into exporting our brand, tourists are coming here to take part of that food culture. That's one of the main reasons why they're coming. They're coming for the jerk chicken, that total food culture immersion. So today, as Novia said, I'm going to be talking about the importance of food safety. Now, I like to engage my listeners and viewers a bit, and I want someone to just take a wild guess of what these numbers mean. Don't all go at once. I need one lucky guess, and it's not the lotto numbers for today. Yes, so one person has, what's your name? Kimberly has said it's the number of food safety cases reported, and she is right along the mark. These numbers represent global food safety impact, and these are the numbers. 600 million cases of food safety, foodborne illnesses have been reported globally. And just to break it down a bit, that means 1 in 10 persons become sick from foodborne illnesses on a daily basis. About how many of us are inside here? I think maybe 100, a little over 100. It means that for a row of persons, of 10 persons, 1 out of you probably would have experienced foodborne illness at some point in time, unbeknownst, because in Jamaica we love to say it's gas, right? Once you eat something you don't feel good, it's gas, and you just drink some tea and you keep it moving. Chances are you've experienced foodborne illness. 420,000 of these illnesses have resulted in deaths. People have died as a result of eating contaminated food, and 125,000 of these deaths account for children, which is one of our most vulnerable groups as it relates to food safety. Now we talk about global scenes. We can talk about home. We talk about, you hear about the food recalls at the international companies, what's happening across the world, but do we think about food safety on a Jamaican level? And I have some headlines here. We've heard about the children being hospitalized after eating cannabis sweets at the school, from the school vendor. We've heard about ackee poisoning. So in this day and age, ackee is our national fruit. What persons are becoming affected by it. Persons are cooking it, and it might have been that you may have just bought it from someone who prematurely picked an unripe ackee, and persons have ate it, just went to sleep, never woke up. We can talk about the 55 gallons of bulk rum seized in a recent St. Elizabeth raid. Persons are making alcoholic beverages that are not up to food safety standards. They're making it through chemical which I'm sure Anna is well aware of, the biotechnological process behind making rum. It's not just I can make it and sell it. It really has a lot to do. And I'm sure Diane can speak of that as well with her experience at Ray & Nephew. We've also seen the recall recently by Red Stripe for their malted drinks. That really wasn't a food bacteria issue, but it was a structural issue where the glasses from the bottles were shattering due to high pressure in the bottles. We also see where peanut butter is recalled, and of course that recall extended to Jamaica because we do import these products. And we also see Quaker Oats withdrawing granola bars and granola cereals. And of course there's one big news item that is not on the screen today. Who can tell me? Local food safety news. I deliberately didn't put it.
Crab circle.
That is it. The famous, or the infamous rather, crab circle event. That was a major food safety issue here in Jamaica. Now, every day we move about, we're exposed to these food safety risks. We don't think about it, because, we go to a restaurant, we get up and we prepare food and the food look good and we eat it, but do we really think about the risks that we associate ourselves with daily? And I have some here on screen. Jamaican street food. Dan mentioned it earlier. We do have street food that is a part, it's embedded in our culture. And when we go out to our jerk man, where does this person store their jerk pan at the end of the day? Do they have running water? When they want to use the restroom, where do they use the restroom? And a big food safety risk also is the handling of money and food. This person is always the person who collects the payment, still cut out the chicken, still take out the piece of bread out of the bag, still, touching the napkin that you're going to be using to wipe your mouth after. So this is an important risk I want you guys to think of today. Another is improper food storage. We have our raw materials in our restaurants. Where are they being stored? Are cold foods being kept cold? Is your fresh produce being stored away from raw meats? And it's something as simple as when you go home, how do you store your meats? So you go to the market today on a Saturday, get home, you're packing away your groceries. Which shelf of your refrigerator do you store your meat? Are you storing it on the top shelf where the juices kind of trickle down onto everything else you have? Or are you storing it on the bottom shelf? We're talking about the cashier handling food outside of the street food setting. In our restaurants, is your cashier at the drive-through? Is the person collecting your money at the first window? The person you see coming around to the second window to give you your food? That is also a risk we need to consider. Or water refill storage. There has been a proliferation of water stores in Jamaica since tap water has now gone out of style. Let's just say that. Everybody is bottling water. And trust me, from my regulatory experience, you want to be careful because there are persons who are literally just bottling tap water and selling it as bottled water. So you want to make sure you pay attention to those things. When you go to your filling stations, are they rinsing the bottles after? Is it high pressure water they're using to rinse the bottle? What the cloth that they're using to wipe down these bottles with, are they clean? Is it the same cloth they're using to wipe down the counter, to wipe down the hand truck that they use to bottle your water? So these are some small things you can be observant and to pay attention to when you are out there. Now, we're moving on to objects or door handles. How many of you touched the handle to come inside this morning? I know we didn't walk through the glass door, so we had to open the door using the handle. And think about it. Some of us got up this morning, we took the public transport, we had to pay our fares, there are so many things you use. You touch your cell phone. This photo in the middle here is actually a plate, an agar plate, showing the growth of bacteria from a cell phone. And how many of you actually take your cell phones to the bathroom? You don't have to be ashamed, I do it too. Exactly. So we take this phone to the bathroom, we take it, it's actually an appendage at this point. It's our second hand and it's a part of us. We take it everywhere. How often do we actually wipe it though? And when we wipe it, what are we wiping it with? Is it antibacterial wipes? Are you spraying it with some alcohol? Are you just using something wet with water? So those are things for us to think about. Our hand sanitizers. Since COVID, that has been a huge thing. You don't leave home without your hand sanitizer. And it's something I want you to pay attention to, that not all hand sanitizers are made equally. Now, not all of them have the minimum amount of alcohol that is effective for what is supposed to be done. Hand sanitizers are also being used instead of soap and water. Now, the idea behind washing your hand is to get rid of all the dirt. So that loose color, dirt, object that you're washing from your hand, the hand sanitizer cannot remove that from your hand. All your hand sanitizer is doing on an unclean hand is making bacteria soup. That's what I like to call it. You're just mixing that bacteria up in some liquid and you're still spreading the germs. So you have to be mindful. Make sure you wash your hands. Hand sanitizing does not remove the need to wash your hands with soap and water. Now, let's take a look at the business aspect of it somewhat. We have food manufacturers. We have Best Dress here. I know from my experience, this is a plug for Best Dress. I actually used to regulate Best Dress. So I can speak to their best practices as it relates to food safety. Now, every person who is in the food business, you want to be running away from lawsuits. You don't want, especially in the age of social media where something just needs to happen and somebody just pick up their phone and they make a video and it's all the way out there. You want to avoid lawsuits, you want to avoid closure of your establishments, and you also want to avoid losing money. Not only for the businesses, as consumers, what do you want to avoid? You want to avoid becoming ill. Because the worst thing is for you to eat something and you're debilitated by it and you're losing time, you can't go to work, the kids need to go to school. So there's a trickle effect of a business place not practicing proper food safety practices, and it trickles right down to the consumer. And I've just given you the statistic. 420,000 persons die yearly from foodborne illnesses. I don't want any of us inside here to be a part of that statistic. Now, when you take food safety up in arm, you see that man in the red there with him food safety briefcase, it means business. So it means that nothing is left behind. So you're trying to get, if you're marketing and you're putting your product out there, but food safety is in your briefcase because it is important. To export, to get products to your consumers, you have to think of food safety. And what does this do? Dan spoke earlier about brand protection. Your brand is out there. If nobody can pinpoint a one instance when they have had anything to eat and anything untoward, they have experienced anything untoward, that is protecting your brand. We're also talking about consumer trust. If I go to somewhere every day and every time I go, I can guarantee that I feel good, I'm recommending it to persons, I can vouch for you, I can put my life on the line and say, Best Dress would never. And I got it the other day because I know that we spoke about it earlier, about a video I posted about not washing chicken. And of course, they came from me on the internet, but I know better. And we had that short laugh because it's really not necessary, which is a whole another topic we're not going to get into today. And thirdly, it boosts employee confidence. How many of you inside here as employees can walk about and feel confident that the place you're working for makes safe food? You know, when you don't have to hide on social media when you see people post things and you wonder, you're confident that your brand and your company is putting safe food out there. And lastly, it enhances growth potential. That growth that we're talking about, that Diane mentioned, the ability to export, the ability to take on new clients and to put your product out there. Now, I want some volunteers for today. We cannot know how to protect ourselves unless we're able to identify the risks. So once you know the risks, you're going to be able to know what you need to do to protect yourself and your loved ones. So I want just a few volunteers to point out. This is from a manufacturing space. Most of us may not be familiar with a manufacturing space, but based on the information I've shared with you, and if this space is supposed to be manufacturing food, can you point out something that is wrong on this screen here? But somebody said everything? I need some more guesses, man. Something in particular. Alright, the fact that I'm hearing responses means that my point is well achieved. So I've circled all, well not all, some of them, because it took me some time to really go through all of these. But these are some. You see the fan there blowing things? And I mean, you all experienced that wind gust yesterday. No joke. So you see the fan blowing contaminants into the buckets there. They're rolling. What is supposed to be packaging on the floor. Somebody is smoking, coughing. This person let him have him on sleep, or yawning, or coughing. We have ink for the packaging just out there open, which can be spilled onto food products, and of course that can be an issue. Have another one here. These gentlemen are, yes, they're making pizza. Can you see what's happening? Anything untoward here? Yeah, see that loose button right there? Have on nail polish, jewelry, a big cut on his hand right there, his wallet, which has seen many persons before coming into production, keys right there. So that is the idea of this exercise, is to, sensitize you, assess the situation. That's why God gave us our eyes. He gave us our senses to look, to see, to feel, to touch, to smell. Assess the risks and know what to do. Strategize your plan, protect yourself and your loved ones. Now, today's theme is all about what's for the future. And of course, the future of food safety in Jamaica can look like this. National campaigns, raising public consciousness, and of course this transforms food safety. And that's one of the main objectives of the Food Safety Girl platform, is just to boost consumer awareness. For you to know simple things that we don't think about, is really just to have that out there. Brand-led training partnerships. Somebody like a Best Dress, a KFC, partner with entities to bring the information out there. As Diane mentioned earlier, the idea of just everything being siloed. Collaborating to achieve the objective of boosting consumer awareness and having persons know. School curriculum integration, that is something that is so important. As adults, we always hear, grow your own food, but that's after we become adults. What's happening at the children level? What's in the schools? What's happening? Is there any seed being planted to change the mindset of others as it relates to food safety? And lastly, science, technology, and behavior. There are new hazards emerging every day. Just the other day, Skittles removed titanium dioxide from their Skittles, and that's just that white compound that makes the colors look brighter. New research has shown that titanium dioxide, has been altering DNA. So there's always something new happening in food safety, and it's very important for us to use technology, science, to make that change. Now, lastly, I always say food safety is everybody's business. It's the government, it's the food industry, and it's the consumers. Now, the government makes the standards that Diane mentioned. This is what they implement, the law. And these laws are really just basic, it's just guidance. And all the government does is to reinforce that these standards are being followed. However, it's the responsibility of the food industry to ensure that you're implementing these standards, that you're putting systems in place, and consumers, you must hold yourselves accountable. That's the role you play. Ask questions. Ask a food handler, please wash your hands before you serve my food. It's as simple as that. And remember that you have the spending power. We're all consumers, regardless of whether we work in the food industry, or whether or not we work with the government, we're all consumers. And the power lies with you, because you're spending the money. And if you don't spend the money, the companies don't earn from it. So that is it from me today. I hope you learned a lot.